Hey, this is the antisocial socialite back at it again. Shout out to everybody who is coming in. I know there's a lot of streams on at the moment and everybody is on this topic. So I know this is going to be a quick one. I don't want to be here all night. I know it's probably getting on to evening and late afternoon for everybody. So welcome. If you are new to the channel, you have not yet subscribed, what are you waiting for, darling? Hit that subscribe button, smash that notification bell. So when I get to running this mouth, baby, you are in the loop. You see the title, you know what time it is. We are going to run through the infamous, the legendary interview of the woman that was the butterfly emerging from her chrysalis. She has a name. Her name is Jessica, and she is hood and world star famous. And she has done an interview with a matchmaker who is going to find out exactly what Jessica wants. And it's going to be interesting to see if this lady and her team is going to be able to help Jessica find a match. Okay, I know by now most people are aware of this video. I know most people have heard that this lady, not Jessica X, the Jessica from the video, has given this lady an interview. So we're going to quickly break it down, and I just want to touch on a few points. So without further ado, let's go.
My name is Karen. I'm real-life-love.com matchmaker. Today we're in for a special treat. We're doing pop-up match for the first time ever in person. Just as far as like your preference, describe your ideal man. Oh, my ideal man will be one, have the character, two, the father, a masculine man.
Okay, so the first thing I want to comment on is this. We now can get a good, clear look at this lady's face. Okay? Not the lady on the left, the lady on the right. And it's quite apparent that when she rated her looks a 5, she was accurate. She was average. Not necessarily average at the higher end, average towards the middle to the lower end. Okay? I know that the image wasn't particularly clear on the night when she went on Kevin Samuel's show. But this image here, you can see quite clearly what she looks like, and 3 was accurate. Or, sorry, not 3, I was looking at the number of people. 5 was accurate. It's also Pick Me Monday, so shout out to all of the Pick Me's, the Pick Mishas, and all of you women that are laying on the ground for your husband to use you as a rug and a doormat. Salute to you. Okay, so the first question that she's asked, let me just check my sound. Let me know if the sound is good, because let's go back. The first thing she was asked is, tell me about your ideal man. Now, what we're going to see is, this is not the woman that appeared on Kevin Samuels' show. Okay? As you can see, the demeanor is very different. She's actually conversing like an adult. She's looking at the woman and engaging. So I know that it's different. This is pre-recorded. There's probably a lot fewer people watching. There's the ability to edit it if there's any problems. And she's talking to another woman. So she's more relaxed. And also she's now famous. She's been round this track once before when it comes on to coming onto the camera. So she knows what to expect. I can appreciate before she was probably quite nervous and a little bit blindsided, but it's almost like night and day. Okay?
One, have the character. 2, the father.
So she says character, good father, and a masculine man. Self-driven and ambitious. So when she was first asked, I know Kevin doesn't necessarily ask. I haven't heard of this interview. What are the names of the interviews so I can see the full thing? What I'll do is I'll put the link in the chat, and I'll put it in the description below. It's called Pop-Up Match featuring Jessica after the Kevin Samuels Average at Best video. So, this is a matchmaking channel. It's a matchmaking site. But they decided to locate this woman and do a one-on-one with her. I mean, a lot of the views that they're getting is from us over at the Manosphere, because once it was out that this lady had been found and somebody had actually interviewed her, everybody's now, I mean, there's literally, I think there's like 3 streams going on right now on this topic, but there's already been about three previous videos. So yeah, it's interesting. It's going to be interesting what she has to say about herself. Okay. Now, the first thing she's asked is, what do you want in a man? The first thing she says is character. Okay. Which obviously is generic. It sounds good. It's not really deep and meaningful. Character can pretty much mean anything, but she obviously doesn't want to sound as superficial as she did before, because oftentimes the question, I don't want to say asking somebody why do you want a 6-figure man is a gotcha question, but it's kind of like, why would you not want a man who makes 6 figures? It's kind of it's not a strange question. I understand why Kevin asks it, because he wants to see whether these women are about the superficial, or are they actually about building with a man who's already on his way to doing something. And obviously, the first time she was asked this question, she didn't answer it very well. She came off very superficial. It came off that she was just about a lifestyle. And to an extent, although some people say she handled it very well, which I think she did, there's still, to me, an element of, I just want that lifestyle. Okay? So she says, a good father. I know that this is going to sound really harsh, but a lot of people will say you didn't have those values for the guy you made your only child with. Okay? Again, she's saying she wants him to be a good father. And I like I've said before, a lot of women who have children often still want to date men who have no kids. And so to want a man to come in and be a father to her child, he's got to be a good role model and maybe a good mentor. I don't know about a good father unless she's willing to have more children for this man. Okay? Then she says ambition and drive, which basically means now that I've got my stuff together and, I've kind of righted some of the wrongs, I want a guy who's on the same thing. Okay? But let's see what else she has to say.
You said masculine. What's masculine? Masculine, it's not necessarily a physical trait, but has core value of a traditional thing.
Okay, so she's a working woman. She makes 6 figures. She's a single mom. She thinks she's the bomb.com, but she still wants a traditional man. This is one of the biggest problems that a lot of brothers talk about in the manosphere. This double standard where women want to be liberated. They want to be modern women. They want to do everything, be everything, go everywhere as they please. They don't want to fulfill traditional roles, but yet they still want a man to fulfill his traditional role to benefit them. And what a lot of brothers will say is, let me know what you want to do for a man that doesn't benefit you. Him having 6 figures benefits her, because 6 figures could be 100,000 all the way up to obviously 999,000. So asking for a man to have certain traits, you notice those traits are self-serving. All right, she said character, but I mean, well, there's a lot of women who actually will date a man with a bad character, so I shouldn't say that. But everything about the man has to be self-serving for her, and that's often a lot of the problems. Also, she doesn't know how to define masculinity, which could explain why she had a child for a guy who's not in the picture anymore. A lot of women don't understand the difference between masculinity and an effeminate male. And a lot of the backlash that we see against Kevin is trying to put effeminate male slurs on a man who's just being assertive, dominant. He's very concise, he's stoic. These are traits of masculinity. She's right. Masculinity is not physical. You could be a very muscular guy and still be effeminate. So in that sense, she's right. But the fact that she still doesn't really know how to define it, and the only thing she can say is a traditional man, that's a little bit of a problem. Okay, so she said she wants somebody who has that drive. She doesn't want to be with somebody who she feels like she has to mother and baby and things like this, which suggests to me that's the kind of relationship she was in before. That's the kind of relationship she's used to, being in a relationship with a guy who's not productive. And now she's finally got her stuff together. She wants to be in a relationship with a man who also has his stuff together. Okay, so once again, it's about this self-serving attitude. I want a man who's going to give me a particular lifestyle. When I started talking to the sisters online about this Kevin Samuels, not particularly about this video, but it just in the past, I came to realize after a little while that the biggest factor for a lot of these women is the lifestyle. They care more about having a lifestyle than even a partnership. Even when they say I want a partner, what they mean is I want a man who will serve me. Okay? They're not talking about building together. It's like you build for me and then you give it to me.
I think that like one of your red flags would be like, tell me some other red flags. Like, oh my gosh, this is the turn off. I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this. These red flags. I would say
Okay, so she asked her, tell me some of the red flags. And you can see from, I've seen this quite a few times now. The first thing I noticed is how much she tries to lead the conversation in a particular way. Let's just call a spade a spade. She really wants her to say, bash Kevin Samuels. Just tell me what Kevin did that you didn't like, or tell me how Kevin is the kind of man you would never want to be with. Okay, that's what this question really was meant to lead to. Okay, fine. She didn't throw Kevin under the bus. Maybe she's watched a lot of videos and she's realized that, if I go too far into that realm, this so-called manosphere or black YouTube will get me a second time. Because we saw how the whole of black YouTube was very much split down the middle. And not only were most of the men on Kevin's side, there were a number of women who said, he was right. And I think that's maybe why she's humbler. She's kind of calmed down. She's had time to think about it and process it. Maybe she took that information to friends and family. She went through those comment sections and she realized the overwhelming majority of people who tried to make an argument against what she said, they weren't really attacking her personally. I know a lot of people say she got dragged. I don't think most people dragged her as much as they kind of just like broke down why what she was saying didn't make any sense. And when she realized a lot of people felt like this, she realized like I kind of have to concede. And let's be clear and remember, when asked, rate yourself, Kevin is specifically asking about looks, and she knows her looks are average at best. She knows. She'll try to later on say, I can't use 7, and I wouldn't say I'm on par with Beyonce. But then why didn't you pick 6? She went straight to 5. Meaning she knows that she's an average looking woman, at the lower end of average. And so the way that this conversation is being framed is trying to lead into bashing Kevin for saying what he said. But the fact that she's taking so long to answer is the next problem. There's a saying, if you don't know what you want, you'll accept anything you get. And the fact that this lady doesn't know right off the top of her head, like certain things that she hates, is a worrying situation. She probably will end up going right back into some of the same kind of relationships she's been in before because the red flags are not red enough for her. I did a whole video, like you've got to sit down with a piece of paper, divide that piece of paper into 3. And you have deal breakers. Don't make the list too long because the longer the list of that kind of stuff where it's like, no, you're killing your options. Then you have the negotiables, things that I would prefer but are not essential. And then you need to have your, this is stuff I really don't care about. And once you have that clear in your mind, it becomes a lot easier to filter through men or women that you want to be in a relationship with. if you don't know what you want, how can you assess where you're going? So she's asked this lady, what are the red flags? And she's like, an old PC with the loading symbol, just going. Up to now, she still doesn't know what the red flag is.
Of course, men who are jealousy and control, of course, that. But also someone who's comfortable with lack. So like that.
Okay, so she says jealousy. At the end of the day, a lot of this for me, some people say that this is a bad sign, that maybe she's up to something. But what I personally felt when I heard that is this notion of, I'm strong and independent, I'm doing battle by myself, and I don't want a man who's going to restrict me or tell me what to do. And the way they frame it is, any man who tells a woman what they want as opposed to what they think they should want is like, oh, you must be jealous of me. I'm tired of these insecure men. Like, how many times have we seen this? People being accused of being insecure. I mean, people accuse Kevin of being insecure. It's funny, before this video went viral, Kevin was not an insecure man. Now, don't get me wrong, there was a lot of people criticizing him. There's always been like the hate Kevin club. But after this video, all of the accusations, like, there were no holds barred. And so when she said to jealous, to me, I'm thinking, this is a woman who just wants to be independent with a boyfriend. Okay? Shout out to bringing clarity to confusion. Welcome to the show. So yeah, so when she said jealousy, that's a very generic thing. But at the end of the day, to me, when a woman says jealousy, I'm thinking, what is he really jealous of you about? Oftentimes, this is a woman who's probably dated men who are not as successful as she is. And then when they try to kind of challenge or check her, she's like, well, who the hell do you think you are? I'm the one in the better position. And so, jealousy, if you're dealing with a man who's got more money than you, what have you got that he's really jealous of, unless you're talking to other guys or something? Again, it goes back to this thing where even Kevin has said it, but a lot of brothers have said it, and we were going to do a little video on it. Women who are addicted to social media. If you're somebody that nothing that happens in your house stays in your house, you're always on social media, from what you did in the toilet to what you have on your plate has to be on some form of social media. That's not jealousy. That's just a man wanting privacy in his own home and in his own life. So again, when women use certain words, we have to be very careful, because at the end of the day, is it needed or a legitimate concern, or is it that you are actually doing something and then trying to gaslight the person that somehow they're just jealous and making something out of nothing? Okay, then she said a guy who's comfortable with lack. Well, again, that's indicating to me that you've been with guys who are comfortable with lack. Or you think you're much better, now you're making $100,000 a year, and it's like, I've suddenly got accustomed to a certain caliber of living, and I don't want anybody coming in who is going to diminish that quality of life. So again, she's not, anyway.
Hospitality, yeah. Take it down with that. I got you. Just in a box, like, don't think outside the box. As far as like, tell me what your I guess we're in a minute right now. So how would your ideal date go? My ideal date would be a good big, good food, good fun. Right. And
so the second half of the interview gets it's.
In your spare time, what do you like to do?
Okay, the second half of the interview, we're about a quarter of the way in, and it's already starting to take a bit of a nosedive. Okay, the lady asked her, what's your idea of an ideal date? And at no point at all does she mention conversation, just getting to know a person on a deeper level, finding out their interests, their hobbies. I mean, the goal of dating is yada, yada, yada. She literally doesn't mention anything about the person who's taking her on the date. And I don't believe she's going 50-50 Dutch. I don't believe she's paying for the date. She is the one being taken on the date. And all she's mentioned is the view and the food. Okay. Again, we're going back to this concept of the dinner whoring. Okay. Shout out to you, Complex. We're going back to this concept of dinner whoring. Women who literally know they do not want a particular guy, but they only want the food. Okay. So she was asked, what's your idea of a good date? Now, I tell you what, she said pandemic or pandemic, sorry, pandemic dating. Now more than ever, dating actually has to be interactive. You can't just show up, eat your belly full, ask for a doggy bag, and then just bolt home because you're already supposed to be locked down at home. So if you're having a dinner date using Skype or, whatever, Zoom or whatever, you actually have to talk to the person. So when she says, what kind of date would you like during the pandemic? It should have been, seeing as we can't actually eat at a restaurant and enjoy the shared ambiance because we're in two totally different locations. Now it's like it has to be good conversation. But at no point does she say, I want to enjoy the person's character, get to know him, have good conversation, maybe have some fun. I did a whole video on Are Black Women Fun? And there's lots of things you can do. Now, obviously there's nothing physical you can do, but you could get a game, I suppose, games consoles. You could play games over, there's certain games you could play over Skype or whatever. So at no point did she mention getting to know the quality of the man. It was simply, I want my stomach filled and I want some good wine and I want to be able to take pictures in a nice restaurant to throw up on social media. Okay, so as much as she's not loud, she's definitely not necessarily that deep either. Okay.
This is a place called Wine by Design. And you get to paint,
so there's a place, a wine place, where you go in her spare time. She does some art and crafts thing, like maybe she paints pottery, but you also, you maybe decorate wine glasses or you drink the wine while you paint. And it's like that's in the space of 10 seconds. She's literally mentioned wine twice. Like, I get the impression she likes wine.
You ever hang out with your girlfriend or go out? Sometimes not too much. But not too much. Right. You like to travel? I love to travel. Where? I love it. Cultural. Learning new things, trying to do. So anything involved there. Okay. Got your passport? I do. Okay. Ready to get out? Probably go somewhere that got lower COVID numbers. Okay. Where's the last place you went?
So she said the last thing she went to was Mexico, and that was a girls' trip. Again, the girls' trip thing is notorious. There's a reason why there was an entire movie about it, and there's a common theme when you watch these movies of girls' trips of a lot of, out there, shall we say, behavior. And so, it's kind of what happens in Vegas and what happens in Rome stays in Rome. So when she says, I went on a girls' trip, I doubt very much that they went to a museum. Okay. But yeah, we're not gonna dwell on that too much. But she's 35, not really got a lot of dating experience, but she's definitely been enjoying those girls' trips.
Tell me, what if I was to round up your exes and ask them, what's one good thing about Jessica? What's one major bad thing about Jessica? What would they do? Well, they'll say that I'm loyal, and they'll probably say that honestly, if I have an issue in a relationship, a lot of times I don't express it, especially if I feel like it's going to cause conflict, because I don't like confrontation. Like, I try to avoid it like and I'll hopefully it, so they kind of got this song and kind of dive with me. But there's something I'm working on. So when was your last relationship? Was it
Now, some people said when Kevin asked, it was 1 year ago. Okay, I don't know how true that is. I have to go back and listen, but she said 2 years ago. So she says she's loyal and then she doesn't really speak up for herself. A lot of people will jump on this and say, you see, she's got some kind of insecurity and she's not able to really express herself. That's why she gravitates towards men who are abusive. And that's another dig at Kevin Samuels. But really and truly, maybe the men that she was dealing with, that was the best she could do. She couldn't speak up. And so, loyal, there's a time and a place to be loyal. We're going to get into that in a minute.
Okay. So you took some time out of the meeting before you decided to come back? Yeah, when I put myself out here, a lot of times, if it don't go my way or it don't go right, I'm like, just take them back first and focus on my career.
Okay, so she says, when it doesn't go my way. So again, just because she's quiet doesn't mean to say that domineering, independent spirit is not there. She said, when the relationship doesn't go my way, remember 80% of divorces are initiated by women. And a lot of people would suggest that probably breakups are around the same percentage. Most men are not dumping women. Most women are dumping men. So she's in relationships where she's not happy. And once she's had enough, she's like, this is not going the way I want it to go. So I'm out. Obviously, the question has to be asked, why did you get into that relationship in the first place? But the bottom line is this, just because she's quiet doesn't mean to say that that disrespect or that controlling nature isn't there. That's what she said. When the relationship is not going my way,
I think in between relationships, I spend a lot of time really not going back out there and seeing that's the worst.
So she kind of has an insecurity issue, and it's like, oh, I have a bad experience, and then I use the career and my education, as we said so many times before. A lot of women are kind of hiding behind careers and education as a crutch. They're hiding behind the fact that they don't have the relationship skills. And then anytime they have a failed relationship, they basically try to say, well, the reason why I was single is because I was focusing on me. I was focusing on my career. I was focusing on this. It's like, no, you're using it as a crutch and a smokescreen to make out that this was the reason why you couldn't attract the kind of men you wanted to attract. And so
whenever we was watching this video, and a lot of other professionals working in the field, they kind of came to the same conclusion that, you really weren't really being heard, everything that you was after and kind of the reason why. Just tell me briefly, like, what was the whole conversation around, like, you wanted a guy that was high earning and making six figures? Why was that important to highlight that conversation? I would say one is narrative. He's a six-figure guy, six-figure guy, and he's given, that's his main thing. But my thing was two, but one is I'm at six figures myself. I think.
Okay. Oh my God, I dropped it off by accident. So again, women leading with their careers, women leading with their accomplishments. No man who's worth his weight in salt or gold or whatever cares how much money you make. He's not interested. A man doesn't, even if the man made less than six figures, he doesn't need your money. And this is something, okay, it's kind of sad that after Kevin and she's had these, a lot of people really trying to explain this to her, she still doesn't seem to understand that you cannot overcompensate for the way you look just by saying I make six figures, because the man is not approaching you for your money. He's approaching you because of the way you look, and obviously if he wants to start a family, your demeanor, things like this. So to say I need a man who makes six figures simply because I make six figures, it shows that you still haven't got the point yet. You still haven't got the message. Yes, you make six figures now, have done for the last 3 years, but the vast majority of your life you have looked like limited dating experience. You come into the relationship older with a child, and your money is irrelevant. And so the fact that she keeps on drilling, and the fact that she has a business and she makes six figures, it's kind of like you're still trying to lead with your money instead of what men actually want. Okay, this is a
I have an issue with relationship. A lot of times I don't express it, especially if I feel like it's going to cause conflict. My last relationship was 2 years ago. Don't go right. And I'm like, just tell me briefly, like, what was the whole conversation around? Like,
see, so what was the whole conversation about? What? It's like, I want somebody to buy me things, take me shopping. That's what the conversation was. Okay.
You wanted a guy that was high earning and making six figures. Why was that important? Was highlighted in that conversation? I would say one of his narrative is he's a six-figure income guy, and he's giving that's his main thing. But my thing was too. But one is I make six figures myself. I think we wanted somebody to make six figures, is not that much. Six figures is not a lot.
Okay, so here we go again with the delusion. She says 6 figures is not a lot. When the average white man makes 50,000 a year, and the average black man makes 40-something thousand, the average black woman makes 30,000. So what do you mean at 100,000 is not a lot? That lets you know that she really still hasn't grasped the fact that 100,000 is a decent amount of money. And depending on where you live, that makes or break whether it's a lot or not. If you have low cost of living, 100,000 is more than enough. Obviously, if you live in a place where it's high cost of living, then 100,000 you'll be technically broke. So this idea that she's not asking for something too much, and then hear what she says after.
I was simply saying it's all money. Because what I learned in my head, if I take down, then financially I'm paying for it. All of a sudden now I'm paying for it.
Bingo. So this is her life. She has a history of dating broke men. Let's just call it what it is. She has a history of dating broke men. And so what she doesn't want is to go into yet another relationship with a guy who she makes more money than him, because she doesn't want to be the one eventually financing the guy. Okay? But the fact that she keeps going on about the 6 figures is like, it just shows a lack of understanding. And that pose was really unattractive. I think that's what the people were talking about with her teeth. I didn't notice before, but somebody said something about her teeth.
I'm paying for it. All of a sudden now I'm paying for it. All of a sudden now I got it. So those are experiences cheaper. Yeah, that in their opinion, I felt like, if I was in those positions, I could be a lot further along because, as black women were taught to be that ride or die chick.
Okay, so she says, I felt like,
in their opinion, I felt like, if I was in those positions, I could be a lot further along because, as all of a sudden now I'm paying for it. All of a sudden now I got it. So those are experiences cheaper. Yeah, that in their opinion, I felt like, if I was in those positions, I could be a lot further along because, as black women were taught to be that ride or die chick.
Okay, so she says, had I not picked the men I picked, that's not what she said, but that's what she's saying. Had I not dated a lot of broke men, I could have actually been better off, right? Then she jumps from, I had a baby with a bum, to black women are taught to be the ride or die chick. Now, this is something that really irritates me about black women on social media. This disdain for the ride or die chick. Okay? At the end of the day, if you are in a relationship with a man, you should be ride or die. The point is this: pick somebody who's going somewhere. There's nothing wrong with being the ride or die chick for somebody who's actually about something. If you're picking guys who are not doing anything, then yes, you will end up babying them. It's just that simple. So a lot of women, they want sympathy, but they are the ones that pick the situations they find themselves in. The men she dated were the men she chose. And it cost her, because now she's 35 with nothing to show much for her past but a child. Okay? And so she tries to equate being a ride or die chick as though it's a bad thing, with somehow automatically being associated with not having funds and resources. No, you were a ride or die chick for the wrong type of man. Right love, wrong person. Okay?
Hold him down till he get his rapping career on.
Okay, so hold him down until she said what? A rap career. I mean, I don't think we need to explain that. You are a grown woman and you're talking about a man who wants to be a rapper, knowing that not very many people actually make it to the top, and even the ones that do don't stay there very long. So this lets you know where her mentality was at. And I know a lot of people, they did say certain things like about her. I still don't feel she really got dragged. But what I will say is this. This is why a lot of dudes are like, we don't want to date single mothers. We don't want to date these women that try to come, around the track in their 30s and 40s, because you gave your best years to all kinds of trashy dudes. You're out here talking about you were ride or die for somebody who's having a rap career. Like, where was your head at? And you think now because you've kind of got it screwed on and you're making six figures, that you can kind of bring that to somebody who didn't think like that? This is where a lot of people are going to start criticizing her, because they can see the poor judgment. Okay, picking a guy because her ride or die, he has a rap career. He's not trying to be a lawyer or a doctor or an accountant. In that respect, that people could respect you for saying, you know what, I held down this guy. He said he's going to be a doctor and blah blah blah, and it didn't work out. But a guy who's trying to be a rapper, and again, we know why, because if you do make it in the rap game, very quickly you go from zero to hero. So if you can get with somebody who's going to be a successful rapper or a successful athlete, maybe not so quickly, but pretty quick compared to a lot of careers, that's a big payout at the end. So again, we see this desire for a lifestyle. She wanted to be that rapper's girlfriend type chick, and it didn't quite work out. The thing is this, the interview is almost finished. Is that a bit better? Exactly, with those salaries. Yeah, I mean, if you live somewhere with a high cost of living, the best thing is to try and get a high paying job in a low cost area. So you can have, even if you downsize, you can actually, you can live good, or you could downsize. High cost of living, you'd have to be willing to compromise. If you want to have the same cost, lower cost of living with that income, that's not necessarily that good where you are. Maybe you'd have to move out, go out a bit further or something like this. You'd have to. Relationship is always going to be about compromise. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. Okay, so yeah, a lot of these women don't understand that there's going to be some sacrifices and some compromises that have to be made. But she looks like somebody, as much as she's quiet, she wanted that fast money. That's why she's following dudes who are talking about rap careers. Okay, she wanted to be the rapper's chick, she wanted to be that baller's chick, and then she got a baby and nothing else to show for it, and he didn't even make it to being a rapper.
Yes. So you get this off, and I'm like, I'm tired of that. It's just trouble. You got to talk.
Okay, so now everybody is fully aware what these women are talking about when they talk about struggle love. They mean I picked a guy who only told me stories, pretended he had potential and was going somewhere, and we ended up both being broke. Okay, and so they're laughing because they know that they picked guys for superficial reasons. They picked him because he looked good, they picked him because the sex was good. And at the end of the day, now that it all has fallen apart because the guy had no substance and no plans and he wasn't actually going to make anything out of himself, now all of a sudden it was, I was the best girlfriend in the world in a struggle love relationship. No, it was struggle finances because you picked a broke guy for superficial reasons. Okay, so again, when people talk about women complaining about the men they create, this is what we're talking about. Women putting themselves in positions in relationships with guys they shouldn't be in relationships with, and then complaining on the back end about the way it went down.
Okay, I got I'm over that, I want to be somebody on my level.
It's out of your system.
Share traditional core values.
She's finished her girls' trips and riding the CC, and all of these guys who are hot, sexy homosexuals have completely let her down. One of these dusties is the father of her child, and now she's had an epiphany at 35. I'm ready to settle down.
I do, and I feel like that's what's going to be. So you weren't asking for a millionaire, which I know, right? You were just looking for something like financial stage. Yeah. So, and also, I didn't say the other traits, which I thought was common sense, which was.
So she said, I didn't say the other traits, which I thought were common sense. Now you can't say that because people are different. And if you ask the average woman, especially for the ladies who come through and watch this, tell me off the top of your head, go to your girlfriends and say, what's the top 5 things you look for in a man? Either it will be silence or it will often be very superficial things. So to say what she's going to say, I thought was common sense, it's not common sense. If it was common sense, we wouldn't have the statistics in the black community that we have. Because what's common to other races is not common to black people. That's why the community looks the way it looks.
Core values and good character, good father, of course, all that. But outside of it, it's, what they say, but common sense ain't always common. But yeah, and I think the interpersonal skills, substance, that doesn't get talked about enough. And that is important. That's one thing that we preach over and over with matchmaking, like trying to get down to the core of understanding that person.
You preach it, but you yourself haven't seemed to secure it. Kevin Samuels will say, look down at the third finger of your left hand. And this is a very clear view of their left hand. And as other people have pointed out, she's a matchmaker without a match. But
what interpersonal skills really stand out as far as what you're attracted to, knowing yourself, knowing how you communicate, knowing what type of people can motivate and encourage you, and then the people that you want to motivate and encourage as well. Another thing in that video that really stood out in everyone was the rate yourself part. Yeah. If you could go back over again and rate yourself, tell me how would you do it? And if you were to do it, how would you rate yourself? I will rate myself all around. Looks, my characteristics, who I am as a person, and with all that said, I would say right.
Okay, so you see, now that she's got the sisterhood on her side and all the women have reached out to her, Crystalline literally called out and said, hit me up. We can do a one-on-one. I wonder if it will ever happen. But people are obviously getting in contact with this lady. They know who she is, where to find her, what she looks like, and everything. Now, all of a sudden, she's gone from, I know that I'm a 5 in the face, to I'm an all-round 10. And this is the delusion that a lot of women feed each other. I'm not saying you should have low self-esteem. I'm not saying that you should put yourself down. But you also have to be honest with yourself about who you are and where you're at. And the fact that she knew I mean, the fact that you're calling in to get tips on how to find a partner lets you know that something's not right. Okay, you might, the fact that she's gone from a 5 in the face to a 10 overall. This is why a lot of women will end up single and dying alone. And this is exactly why Kevin said you will die alone. Because to an extent, she thought she was a 10 anyway. She knew her looks maybe weren't up there, but she knew that she felt like, I'm making 6 figures. I'm a 10 now. And it's like, I want a man on my level. And it's like, hold on, pump your brakes. You still are a 5 in the face, 35 single mother. And it's like, and now she's gone to another female who's giving her the validation and the co-signing that she secretly always believed in. That's why I said, it's the quiet ones you have to watch. She's not necessarily jumping on the tables and chairs, but that institutional, no, I wouldn't say institutional disrespect, but that, well, there was disrespect because she said a man making less money than her is beneath her. But that silent, no, I don't want to say the ego, let me say it like this. That ego was there, that even when she knows she's not necessarily the most attractive, or she doesn't necessarily have the offers that she would like, she still thinks she deserves the top of the top. And now the other women have come out and backed her, saying, you're gorgeous, you're beautiful, you're this. Now all of a sudden, I'm going to say I'm an all-round 10. It's like, okay, if you say so.
But he was saying just looks, and I was trying to entertain his logic or whatever he was saying.
So you're trying to entertain his logic, but your results have spoken for themselves. That's why you're calling the show.
A lot of part of people didn't hear is he said that if Beyonce was the 8 and you can't get 7, what do you rate yourself? I mean, I think Beyonce is a 10.
I don't think Beyonce is a 10. I'm really sorry. I know that's going to sound really harsh. When I first heard Kevin Samuels say, hey, Mosman, how you doing? Shout out to you. It's not just Happy Monday, it's Pick Me Mondays, where the Pick Me's come together to talk about being picked. God damn it. Yeah, it's actually Tuesday. It's 1 o'clock in the morning here. When Kevin first said Beyonce was a 10, I'll be an 8, sorry, and that Kelly Rowland was a 9, I think my internalized colorism came out. It's probably misogyny as well. All right. And then I kind of went and looked at some pictures of Beyonce. And really and truly, the only thing Beyonce has going for her is the fact that she's light. Because to be fair, as much as she was very attractive in her younger years, she is a similar age to Jessica. Okay? She's a similar age to Jessica. And that's what Beyonce looks like now. So when we really think about it, out of Kelly Rowland and Beyonce, who does look better in the face? Is that a 10? No, I don't want to accept your cookies. Go away. Okay, this is one of the pictures that I personally have seen, and I don't know why it's not showing big. It's supposed to be this page. Oh, he didn't do it. Oh, he's opened it as a separate window. Okay, whatever. Be difficult. I don't care. Let's see if I can find some. I don't know if you guys can see that. This is Beyonce probably 10 years ago. And this is her now with like a double chin. And, her eyes are not looking so bright like they used to. Okay? This is an old picture as well. This is Beyonce when she first came out. Yeah, back then, even then I wouldn't have said she was a 10. She was like a solid 8, 9. Okay? And that sounds, the fact that she's got fairer skin and blonde hair, which is quite cute. Still not a 10 though. It's a strong 9. That's Beyonce now. Beyonce when she first came out in her early 20s, Beyonce now. So this is Beyonce now. This is recent with the Lion King. Is that Beyonce with no makeup? And that's her a while back. Okay, is that a 10? We're not saying she's unattractive, but is that a 10? You know? So Kelly Rowland has aged as well. But when I really looked at Kelly Rowland's face, I didn't feel like Kelly has aged as badly. And so out of Kelly and Beyonce, who is going to age better? And the answer is Kelly. Kelly has aged as well, of course. She's also in her 30s. I think she's got 2 kids now. But Kelly's just cuter. Yeah. But in Destiny's Child days, she was definitely dwarfed by Beyonce's fair skin and blonde hair. But actually, yeah, here she's kind of showing signs of aging. But in terms of looking consistent, I don't know. She's looking kind of old. I can see why Kevin says she has a more timeless look. That's for sure. And she will definitely age better than Beyonce simply because she has darker skin. So again, women rating other women is always a no-go, because women will tell you what they know you want to hear, and they always forget. Free Thought, shout out to you. Women don't seem to understand that men want to be sexually aroused by you. Okay, women judge each other based on niceness and character and all the things that are non-sexual because they're not sexually attracted to you. But at the end of the day, it's about the sexuality, and how you look plays a huge part in that. Okay, so she said, because I couldn't pick 7, why didn't you go for 6? But instead she picks 5, which means she knows deep down she's 5. Okay.
Hey, and I can't do 7. I guess I say 6. And I feel like, like women, we're average, and we, put ourselves together. And he really raped Beyonce at 8. Yeah. What is he? What scale is he on?
And to be honest with you, I checked. I know Amara La Negra is on this thing about being a thought now and potentially going to OnlyFans. And when I looked at her face, no homo, but bruv, I could not stop looking at this woman's face. Amara La Negra has the most captivating face I have ever seen. I don't know what it is, but when I looked into her eyes, I just couldn't stop looking. Okay? Just stunningly beautiful. To the point where she doesn't really look human anymore. She almost looks like a dolly. Okay? I get it, there's makeup, and maybe some contacts in there, but the depth of beauty in that woman's face. And she doesn't even look like she's skinny. Like here you can see she's looking kind of thick. Here you can see she's shapely. But I think it's the eyes. There she doesn't actually look that amazing because she just got like no hair. But when I looked at her pictures, I think I don't know who inspired who. Her inspired Lizzo, or Lizzo inspired her, but she's just stunning. I might have to just slide in those DMs. You get me, but yeah, Amara is a 10. Amara is definitely a 10. I might have to go a bit funny to see if she'll give me a shot, kind of thing. She's hot. So yeah, so Beyonce, she is definitely beating Beyonce. I can stop looking at Beyonce anytime, but Amara La Negra is gorgeous. Okay, so when Kevin says that Beyonce is a 8, he knows what he's saying, and he's right. Okay, he's definitely right. Okay, so she said she couldn't pick 7, but then she went straight to 5, which lets you know she knows.
Like, we're someone who have low self-esteem. And when it's taken out of context like that, then it definitely paints it to, like, you have low self-esteem. Your energy, your vibe, you're very confident.
Which no man really, most men are not really bothered about. Again, confidence is not going to get him sexually aroused.
I don't think that rating system was a fair reflection of who you are. And I think to try to put a whole person on a 1 to 10 scale anyway is kind of,
Well, at the end of the day, men are visual. I'm not saying women are not visual. Men and women are probably equally visual. But at the end of the day, the man wants to be sexually aroused by you. That's why he's talking about looks, because you're not trying to attract a woman. You're trying to attract a man, and men judge on looks, especially if it's a blind situation. If you're getting to know somebody, one thing. If you're just meeting and the only thing you have to go on is looks, then that's what it is, because most people you're going to meet out randomly, passing in the street, in a store, whatever. The only thing they know about you is how you look. So looks do matter. And again, this is why women will often try to say, accept me for who I am. It doesn't matter how I look, because let's substitute my physical for these intangibles. Now we can see the mindset behind the women who are morbidly obese, coming into the situation with a lot of complexities. They're like, but I have all these hidden gems inside. So just look at my character and me as a whole person. And it's like, no, I kind of still need to look at your body and all the other stuff that you bring to the table. And it's like, no, don't, please. Just focus on all the intangibles and forget about all the other baggage. Again, she says she has a decent body, but I don't know, is that a little tummy I see right there? But, but again, this is the mentality of a lot of women, that it's like, don't worry about what I tell you, don't look at, just focus on what I'm telling you to focus on. And once again, it's self-serving.
Right. And, I definitely think I'm a confident woman, but when I was put on that platform, and then I looked at my phone and I see my face plastered up there. And you wasn't expecting that. I didn't know my face was up there. And I could tell that he was trying to push me. And I could tell he wanted me to be that angry black girl. Right. I wasn't going to give that. And plus my personality, I try to avoid conversation. So
okay, so she tries to demonize Kevin now. And you've been watching the show for a while. He asked everybody the same questions. If you watched a handful of shows, you can ask the questions even before he asked them. So it's not so much that he's trying to push you. The point and the frustration came in that there's a certain thing you're not getting. Men of a certain caliber require a certain thing in their women, and you're not understanding that just because you make 100,000, that doesn't qualify you for a man who makes 100,000. It was that simple. She was not accepting that truth. That's why the conversation kind of halted and then got derailed at that particular point. But once again, it's like the black man is somehow the boogeyman. He wasn't trying to goad you, because there have been other women that have come on the show who did not, receive the same treatment. It's because they were receptive to hearing what he has to say. But she was adamant that she should get a high earning man simply because now she's in a high earning situation. That was it.
It's just,
and the fact that she mentions the angry black girl, this is why I say to black women all the time, it's black women that destroy the image of black women. The angry black woman trope is perpetuated by black women, not black men. The mainstream media and black women are the ones that reinforce this idea that the dark-skinned woman is angry. So again, you cannot put that on black men. That's something black women have to address.
I just didn't want to, and I was caught off guard. It was like, I mean, I commend you. I commend you for not hanging up. I commend you for not going off and not being that stereotype you see all the time as far as that angry black woman. I think a lot of people kind of they saw you and they saw someone special. The people who have the intelligence to recognize special people, who see them, you are a good thing. If any man finds you, he's found a wife. You know, our show isn't about Kevin. Our show is about them. Our show is about pop-up match where we take the time to figure out who you are. We take the time to figure out what Jessica.
Okay, and again, this is probably some kind of passive-aggressive shot at Kevin as well. But if we all go back to the original tape, what did Kevin say? I don't want to do this. Let's book a session. And she was adamant she wants to do it there and then. Okay, so let's not pretend like, number one, Kevin is a matchmaker. He's not, but there's a group that she can join. But he said, let's do a consultation. And she said, no, I want to do it now. So again, the passive-aggressive shots are a bit below the belt, but she was the one who insisted on coming on the show there and then. So he would have had time to get to know her and give her coaching and one-on-one advice had she taken the original statement. But once again, she messes up, but it's everybody's fault but hers.
Because I guarantee you right now, it's some man that's sitting in the living room, rubbing his feet together, eating cereal by himself. That he does every single night, especially since quarantine happened. And he's looking for a woman that is loyal and driven and hardworking.
Again, loyal, you should be driven. Driven for what? It's like she wants to drive and then the guy just pays the bills and comes along for the ride. Okay? Men don't value driven.
So should that man be out there that's interested in starting something serious with a woman that is heavily invested in herself, you know, reach out to her because, you know, good things don't last single out here alone.
She's been single for 2 years. What are you talking about? She has no dating history, just a sketchy baby daddy. What are you saying? Even she knows what she's saying is complete BS. Look into her eyes. She's like, a good thing doesn't last long. And she's like, but I've been here for like more than 2 years. What is... This is how women keep other women single. Because they say things that sound nice, but ultimately will not lead to any resolution. So I've got another video that I've got to do. Probably I'll try and do it tomorrow night. We've got to address this issue of white women coming to the defense of black women. I know it's going to be a little bit of a doozy, but we might have to just break down this Kristen Kerosene video of the white girl coming to the defense of black women. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Did we learn anything more about Jessica? Was Kevin too harsh? Is she a catch? Has she got low self-esteem? Let me know what you think in the comment section. For those of you catching it on the replay, share the video with someone who needs to see it, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace. On Free Thought, Mostman, Jake, Complex, bringing clarity to confusion, and Red Pill and Black Pill